Iowa's News Now Sports brings you black and gold glory. Your all-access pass to all things Hawkeyes. This is Eye on the Hawks.
It's the first time in my life I had to shush the crowd a little bit on that play to Tyrone, because the crowd, we're down 7 and then the crowd gets right back into it.
He may have shushed the crowd, but he can't shush us here at Broadcast Park. I'm Grant Becker, joined as always by Hawkeye Nation's Rob Howe, and this is Eye on the Hawks. We'll get to tonight's battle of unbeaten Big Ten squad soon, but before that, let's look back at how Iowa survived its diciest contest so far. The Hawks got out to a lackluster start offensively Saturday afternoon. Part of that was Spencer Petras throwing his first interception in 6 games late in the first half. That led to a Colorado State touchdown and gave the Rams a 7-point lead at the break. The second half was a different story, however. Early in the third quarter, the defense forced and recovered a fumble, and on the very next play, the offense tied things up. That was the sequence that turned the tide.
I heard everything go crazy. It was kind of like last week on the goal line when that fumble happened and we got a touchback. I had no idea what happened. And then I looked back and Jack recovered it, and I was like, yeah, let's go.
That was huge, and like I said, I think it was kind of a symptom of us coming out and playing our brand of football in the second half. Obviously, we've made some of those plays in the last couple of games, so that's something you should be striving for at all times, is to make big plays like that.
When you get a spark play like that, you want to capitalize, and if you can do it sooner than later, that's even better. But yeah, to come away with the touchdown was really big. It was a great call, really executed well.
Here's a stat for you. Iowa has forced 9 turnovers already this season, and all of them have been turned into points. 51 in total. Rob, can they keep relying on this method, or is this going to dry up at some point? This can't just keep happening.
I keep thinking that, Grant, week after week, and it keeps happening. So I don't know. Maybe it does go for they're a third of the way through the season. Maybe it goes on for the next 2/3 of the season. But I think at some point the offense is going to have to win a football game. Can that happen? We'll find out. I mean, it seems like the offense is taking steps forward. Still need to get that running game going, but I just think you're playing with fire when you are expecting your defense and special teams to win every game. So really the question, Grant, is can this offense win a football game for this team?
As Seth Benson mentioned, the man to recover the pivotal fumble was junior linebacker Jack Campbell. But that doesn't even scratch the surface of his performance on Saturday. The Cedar Falls grad was all over the field, posting a career-high 18 tackles to go along with 3 pass breakups. While his success certainly isn't a surprise to his coaches or teammates at Iowa, it might be to the few of the colleges that didn't offer the 6'5" linebacker.
I'm not going to say what the coaching staff said it to me, but I didn't have the right ankle bend or something like that. So just being able to move on, but having this great opportunity to play for the Iowa Hawkeyes and being from the state of Iowa, it's just one of the best things that's ever happened in my life. So
we were on him pretty early, and we just saw that improvement athletically. Like, he was just a hack in basketball. He got fouls really fast. He could pick them up, but he's always been a football player that just had a great motor, just a high motor, and he's so humble. I mean, he's just a beautiful guy that way. So I don't think any of us are surprised the way he's playing.
There's probably a few coaching staffs with some regrets on that one. Rob, we did this last year with Davion Nixon when we were like, week 1, oh, that was pretty good. Oh, this is another really good performance. Is Jack Campbell trending the same way? Maybe All-American status?
You're overthinking things when you're talking about ankle bends on a linebacker. Come on. You don't have to over-evaluate these things. You watch Jack Campbell play, and Grant and I have the luxury of being on the field for games. You watch him run sideline to sideline, and it's unusual. You can see, you watch football every week. You know when a guy's doing what he's doing, it's unusual. And teams are trying to take him out, but give the defensive line credit too, Grant. They're keeping him clean, and he can run free. That's dangerous for any offense.
While Campbell was the standout on defense, the offense got its biggest spark from a player making his first start. Wide receiver Keegan Johnson played sparingly and hadn't caught a pass before Saturday's game against Colorado State, which makes his performance all the more impressive. The freshman hauled in a 43-yard touchdown on the first reception of his career and caught another 49-yard bomb to finish with a team-high 92 receiving yards.
I felt like, I got my feet wet today, and, I felt more confident, first catch was a big catch, and as I went out there more, you just feel more confident in your game.
Anytime I can get that guy, one-on-one, it's something I'm going to take a look at, and he did a great job of beating his guy, and really just outrunning them, and we were able to score. It was a great play by Keegan.
It's awesome. I mean, I remember when I was out there as a freshman in 2019. It's kind of a feeling you can't describe. It's just bullets are flying past you 24/7. But to see him out there as a true freshman doing the things that he's doing, it's really promising, and he's going to have a great future for the Hawks.
That bite from Spencer Petras stands out. Having trust in any receiver to win one-on-one is huge, but to have that in a true freshman speaks volumes. Rob, do you think this is just the beginning for Keegan Johnson here?
We heard a lot in the offseason about he and Arlen Bruce IV, about how advanced they were, how mature they were for true freshmen. And we were kind of waiting to see that break out. And I think from Brian Ferentz, the offensive coordinator standpoint, defenses are stacking the box against the run. They're allowing Iowa's wide receivers to go one-on-one on the outside. You need somebody that can get separation. And let's give Spencer Petras credit. Those were 2 dimes he threw to Johnson.
They were spectacular throws, and I thought the throw to Nico Reganey was good. I mean, it was obviously a difficult catch for Nico, but he put it in a place where only Nico could go catch that, and that's him trusting his wide receivers. And all those plays, you got to see more from him. I mean, I thought he was the guy on the offense who led them to that win. If anybody on the offense did it, I mean, the trust in Keegan Johnson there is special. Well, Johnson was the main beneficiary when it came to deep balls. Petras and the passing game were much more aggressive than weeks 1, 2, and 3. The junior quarterback averaged nearly 15 yards per completion, and 4 of his 15 completions went for 20 yards or more. Whether it was part of the game plan or due to the defense Colorado State was playing, it was a welcome sight.
One of our goals offensively is to have over 5 explosive plays a game, and we have yet to reach that this year. We've been close, and I guess just hearing that, we reached it today, so that's good.
It makes drives a whole lot easier when you can, chuck a bomb and get off the field in 4 plays compared to, we had a 20-play drive last week. So it just makes things a whole lot easier, and, there's less room for error when there's less plays.
Sam Laporta makes a good point there. For a team that prides itself on winning the turnover battle, those chunk plays make life a lot easier. Rob, do you think this was kind of a one-off thing, or are we going to see more of this from the Iowa offense going forward, particularly because they will trail again?
Yeah, and I think, again, going back to what defenses are doing against Iowa is stacking the box and taking away Tyler Goodson. You know that he is a known commodity, and stopping Iowa's run is the key to beating them on offense. So do you continue to run the football into a wall, or do you throw the ball into one-on-one coverage and try to win some of those battles and then loosen things up for the running game? And then you go play action. I think it's a progression for this offense.
Certainly a tough challenge on a lot of levels. First of all, it's a short week. We're playing a night game, and being on the road and playing a Big Ten opponent.
Conference play returns, and Iowa meets an undefeated squad on a short week. More on a tricky start to October when Eye on the Hawks returns.
We're having fun out there, and I was celebrating, and it's too bad. We love to celebrate in the end zone as a team, but I didn't know. I mean, there's a weird gray area with the celebration stuff, and I know they're cutting back on that.
Shame on Sam Laporta, man. Think of all the kids who saw him spin that football. He learned the hard way that's going to be a penalty in 2021, but Iowa can't spend too much time on that because the Hawks have a short week to get ready for Maryland. The good news for Hawkeye fans is Iowa had 3 short weeks last season, and they won all 3 by an average of more than 25 points per game. So what's the key to strong prep on one less day?
The players have to make that adjustment, and they've got to handle it well. And they got to realize, we can't work as hard physically. It's not realistic, and can't put maybe as much time in because you lose a calendar day. How do you budget that into all the other stuff that you got? And our players have a lot on their, like all college football players, they got a lot on their plates.
A lot of what we do, which is nice, is towards the end of the week we keep it more mental than physical, which is big because you need to be fresh for the game. Everyone needs to be. Body's feeling as good as they can.
One of those 3 games last year was the Black Friday battle with Nebraska, a series the Hawks have dominated. Rob, do you think Iowa has figured something out on these short weeks here that's given them a leg up?
It's hard to say. I think maybe sometimes we make a bigger deal out of this than it really is. I mean, it's a Friday night compared to a Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning, so that's really not that big of a difference. Again, if you don't put yourself through a gauntlet physically, you can still prepare mentally all the way up to that game. I think the biggest thing for this game is, unlike the Nebraska game or Minnesota last year, this is halfway across the country. So you have a longer travel, different time zone. different feel. You know, that to me is the bigger thing here than it being on a Friday night.
Sure. I mean, really anything out of that Saturday afternoon kickoff time, though, is this team being out of its element so far this season. Saturday's halftime deficit wasn't just the first time Iowa went into the locker room down at the half this year. The 7-point gap was the largest they'd been in the hole the entire season. It's remarkable to go that long without trailing by a touchdown, but the Hawks know it's not sustainable and that they have to know how to play from behind.
We needed it, a little adversity. Not everything's going to be perfect. So, we came to halftime down by 7 and, just stayed the course. We had 30 minutes left in the game to give them our best shot, and I thought we, played better in that second half.
There's no downside to it as long as it comes out the right way, which it did. It's a happy ending. But that's part of football. I mean, it's really surprising to go 4 games without that, or, go to your 4th game before that happens. And we're going to go through more of it this year.
Tyler Linderbaum spoken like a coach right there. These are the moments where you find out what you're made of, and after getting booed by the home crowd, the Hawks took care of business. Rob, I agree wholeheartedly with Tyler Linderbaum. They needed to see what they were made of in a moment like that. How'd you feel about their response?
Yeah, Tyler Linderbaum has no neck. I'm looking at that video, I'm like, wow, it's amazing. But yeah, it's a situation where you're going to have to face adversity throughout a season. Iowa's had some adversity here and there. That against Colorado State, they got the fumble late with Colorado State going into the end zone, and they were able to capitalize on that. Similar last week with the fumble, and being able to punch it in. I think you answer those questions throughout the season to learn what you're made of, and they build confidence. And I think what happened last week is Iowa got some confidence. Hey, we were in a hole, but we were able to dig out of it.
Iowa finished off non-conference play Saturday, so now it's time to turn the page to Big Ten action where everybody knows everybody inside and out. Kind of. The Hawkeyes will play Maryland for just the 4th time ever and only the 2nd time at Maryland Stadium. All 3 of the previous matchups between these two have gone to the home team. And while this is the 8th year that they've been in the same conference, this series still feels brand new.
It's still different, yeah. It definitely feels, they're not new to the Big Ten per se, but they're new to us because we've only been there once. And it is different. It really is different, just like traveling to Rutgers was different. So that'll take a while. And I don't know when our next trip out there is, so it may take a long while. We'll see. Right now we're worried about 3 days from now, or 4 days, whatever it is.
The way the Big Ten's cross-conference scheduling works still throws me for a bit of a loop. I'm used to seeing Maryland as a Big Ten basketball team, but football's still a big adjustment for me. Rob, does this feel like a normal Big Ten game to you?
Yeah, I'll defer to Kirk and the players here, how they feel and how they view it. To me, I kind of, as long as Maryland and Rutgers have been in the league and had a chance to go out in 2014 to that game, I'll be interested to see what type of environment Iowa goes into. It was pretty docile the first time. Maryland, there wasn't a lot of energy there. It's a 4-0 team now. It's a night game. I think they've got some type of gold theme or something going on. So it'll be interesting to see what type of road environment it is. And maybe that kind of throws a little fuel on the fire and makes it a little bit more, okay, this is a Big Ten opponent.
Yeah, Maryland's going to do a blackout. The East Coast Hawkeye fans are going to tell everybody to show up in gold, so they're hoping the stadium can be all black and gold. They're going to call it Kinnick East. It's going to sound different than Kinnick, though,
right,
which is going to be different.
It's going to be a big challenge, and I think, first and foremost, you start with the quarterback. He's a really good football player.
Maryland is 4-0 and led by a QB who's putting things together in year 2 with the program. We'll dive into the Terps when Eye on the Hawks comes back.
Understanding that they want to hit the deep ball, understanding that he can hit a throw on the run. So just staying in coverage, playing our keys, and limiting the big plays is really going to be our point of emphasis this week.
If we said before the season the toughest QB Iowa would face in the first 5 weeks was Tonga Viloa, you might have assumed Michael Penix and Brock Purdy were hurt, but Tonga Viloa has just been flat out better than any QB the Hawks have seen yet this season, racking up 1,340 yards, 10 touchdowns, and throwing just 1 pick through 4 games. His first college season was not much to write home about, but he is a different player in year 2.
This guy, he'll get outside the pocket. So if we let him outside, that's a little dangerous, and he'll do that with ease. It's amazing how easy he gets out there, and then all of a sudden, but he's looking like a good quarterback. He's looking down the field when he gets out there. He will run it, but he's trying to make a play, and that's really scary.
He can make a throw from anywhere on the field. He's really he can get out of the pocket and throw on the run and put the ball where he needs it to be. So that's definitely something that we got to be able to stay in coverage because the play might last longer than 5-6 seconds.
It's not just the raw numbers either. Tonga Viloa is the second highest graded QB in the country this season per PFF. Rob, is he the biggest challenge the Iowa defense has seen to this point?
I think you'd have to say so. I mean, he's completing 75% of his passes, which is insane. And he's got weapons all over the place. Demas leads the conference, and I think he's among the best in the country with 446 receiving yards. They run the football. I think what Kirk and some of the players said there was key. He doesn't really look to run the ball first, but he's able to move around and keep plays alive off schedule, and that's when it really gets dangerous.
Yeah, it's not that he's a running quarterback. It's more like a mobile NFL quarterback who, well, if I have to pull it down to get the first down, whatever, I'll go ahead and do that. It's not designed runs. It's just keeping the play alive as long as he possibly can. Maryland is no slouch in the run game either. Tayon Fleet-Davis is the lead back, and he's averaging an impressive 7.1 yards per carry. And they've got a fleet of guys behind him, too. 4 more backs who've carried it at least 10 times this season. So this is a dynamic offense that would be happy to have you key in on one part of their attack.
Their run game's solid as well. They got a veteran offensive line, and they got backs who run the ball hard. So just being able to stop that and hopefully get them to start throwing the ball a little bit more, that's also going to be important.
Now that's interesting. Campbell mentions they want to force Maryland to throw the ball. Rob, that's got to be based on the fact that they're hoping for interceptions rather than an actual matchup thing, because, I mean, they've got one of the best quarterbacks in the country to this point who's throwing the ball. Yeah,
and that means you like the strength of your secondary, which makes a lot of sense. We saw those interceptions earlier in the season. Iowa hasn't had a pick the last 2 weeks, though, and that's probably something they certainly recognize. The thing that you have to watch with Maryland is Fleet-Davis is a good receiver, too. He's got 14 catches, which I think ranks 3rd on their team. So they'll throw to the backs, too. So you have to be aware of that as well. Guys underneath, maybe underneath the linebackers that can get in space and do damage.
Enough talk. It's time for predictions, how we think things are about to go down out east after the break.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I don't even want to talk about that. Casey's Pizza compared to New Haven, it's like comparing McDonald's burgers to like wherever you get a gourmet burger. That's the comparison.
The great pizza debate rages on as Nico Reganey strikes back at Riley Moss, who was taking heat on Twitter for his Casey's Pizza take a few weeks back. Nico Reganey might take some local heat for his take right there, though. Okay, no more pizza talk. I'm getting hungry. Let's make some picks. ESPN's Football Power Index gives the Hawkeyes a 57% chance to win tonight. They opened as 3-point favorites. Rob, we both took this game for granted in the preseason. I don't even think we discussed it at all. What's your confidence level for Iowa winning this game tonight?
I would say roughly in that percentage. I would probably say in that 55 to 60%. Maryland, the biggest surprise for me is how much better it is at defense. I was shocked to see that it's top 10. I think it's 8th, allowing 14 points a game. Iowa's 2nd, obviously, allowing 11. So I would have never thought that this could be a defensive battle, but that may be what we see here is two teams kind of feeling each other out and then taking advantage maybe of an opportunity off a turnover or something like that. I think it's a close game, but when it comes down to it, and I think people will pick this upset, the national talking heads, just because, okay, Iowa was a little shaky last week against Colorado State. Iowa's the better football team here. And if Iowa plays well, clean football, it should win this game.
I think we talked about, is Tonga Viloa the biggest challenge for the Iowa defense so far? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But this is by far the biggest challenge that he has seen. Last year, he threw 7 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in 4 games. He's obviously improved tremendously, but that quarterback is still in there somewhere. Iowa's going to go out and try and find it. I'll take Iowa to win as well, but I do think this one's going to be close. I think we're going to have a real football game here in the 4th quarter. That is it for Week 5 of Eye on the Hawks. We will be back next week with a recap of Iowa's return to Big Ten play and a preview of potentially the biggest game in Iowa City in years. See you right here next week.